Hello everyone, welcome to another stream. Hopefully everything is working. If anyone can just give me a heads up on audio levels. Basically I've moved to a different streaming software, just giving it a go and just seeing if that works. So if anyone's around to let me know, just if you can hear me okay over the music, if you can even hear the music, etc. So we'll just give it a few seconds for anyone to join. I'm just getting a few things set up in the background, just getting the manual out. Sound good, excellent, thank you Matt. So yeah, so today what we've got to do is basically run the belt, which I didn't put that I was doing in the thumbnail, but I am doing the belt, the bed and the tool head basically today. Should have everything printed. I've prepped heat inserts and everything, so we should be basically good to go. So yeah, let's see what like I say, the first step today is to run the belt. So let me grab the printer and we can actually do that. So nothing's changed since the last stream. I haven't done anything. Everything's still moving really nicely. I have checked, let me switch over to the close-up. So I have checked that the length of the cable chain supplied is the correct length, and it is. Don't need to add or remove any links, so we should be good to go there. We don't need that quite just yet. And what I have done with the belt is so we had just over two meters. So what I've done is I've basically cut it in half, and then following the manual I've made them the same length. So basically what that means is you link the belts together like so, and then go all the way to the other end, and basically what you want to do is cut the entire both pieces in one go so that they're flush. Then you do the same the other end, and then they are the same length. And we need two separate belts obviously, and the manual says around 1 meter long, so hopefully with that being just over 2 meters we should have enough. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is grab our carriage piece, which again I've prepped and is all ready to go. I've removed the piece of support material which was just here, so that's okay. So yeah, so we should be good to go. So the manual basically tells us to use M3/8 countersunk, and then we need the 2 maker beam nuts. So let's find those. So I've put the screws over here to one side so I know where they are. And then we also need, let me move this mouse out of the way. There we go. The maker beam nuts. So I don't think these are official maker beam nuts, because they're not the greatest of quality, but they will do the job. I had some in a previous kit which were worse than these. If I can even find them, they should be here somewhere. There we go. So what you basically want is all it is a flat piece of steel with a thread in the middle to hold the belts. But ideally what you want is just for them to have some smooth edges so that they don't tear the belt or cut into the belt. So we need both of those, and then we need M3/8 socket countersunk. If I can get the bag open. I'm not sure if we'll be using any of these later in the build, but we've got a few spares. So it's weird, we got spares of some things but not of others. Let me just grab my Allen keys. So yeah, so if I just go back to the manual, and obviously I haven't got that on screen, but it will take up too much space, but you can easily download the manual if that's something you want to look at and follow along. I should just mention, so the I'm not sure if I can pin the, have a look here. I want to see if I can pin the message I posted earlier. So okay, it doesn't appear to let me do it from here, but basically the message I posted earlier is a link to the DIY 3D printer Discord server, and what that basically is a server that I can't seem to do that. So that has several people have joined, and what you can do is see what other people are saying about the kits. So that's really useful if you. Now this is not doing what I want it to do. Let's just get rid of that. So that's really useful if you are thinking of buying a kit, but you're not entirely sure what other people have experienced with their kits. And there's loads of people on there who have written. They've got their own channel, and they can tell you exactly what they want to tell you about the kit, show you pictures, show you any issues they've had, any good things that have come with the kit, etc. So I've got a channel on there, and I'm just writing basically as I go alongside doing these videos. So that's in the, oh, and someone has subscribed, but my overlay is obviously not working right. So thank you for that. Hello Lars, also in the chat. So yeah, check that out. I will pin that at some point when I work out how to do it in the software. It's also in the description if you need it. So yeah, so let me just bring up the manual and see what I've got to do. So basically what we've got to do is install these two screws, nuts rather, into the printed part. And if we put them so that we've got the smooth edge facing down into the printed part, that's where the belt will be. So that will prevent the belt from getting damaged at all. And we're not doing these sort of tight or anything at the moment. We're just getting them in there so that we can run the belts through and hold them in place. So let's get this one in there as well. Just like that. So the next part of the manual tells us about doing the belts, which I've done. So what we then need to do, I'll grab one belt at a time, is basically grab the belt, and what we need to do is go in from, I might have to undo that a bit. So we want to go, make sure I get this on camera, go into the side here, and what we want to do is to get this belt to go out the front. So what I might have to do is just grab a tool that I've got over here, bear with me. So this is basically just a little bit of a pokey tool. Let's see what someone's saying in the chat. I'm just looking because it's early for me and my brain is still waking up. Saw your post about the stream on Steve's Discord, thought I'd check it out. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad Steve made a channel sort of specifically for people to post their own streams or whatever, because I don't like to just sort of post it anywhere. I would put it where it's relevant. So that's good of him to make that channel actually. And I stream at this time so that I can then go and watch his stream later. So what I'm basically trying to do here is get this belt to go through the back like this, and then through the front like that. So you just want to get it through a little bit, and like I say, making sure we've got it the right way. So the belt, the ridges of the belt will basically be facing outwards. So we'll do that with the other one as well. Stream died? Oh. Seems to be working for me. Can you let me know if we're back? I should try and, I haven't got anything. Let's close some stuff we don't maybe need open. I will try and keep an eye on it. I think the stream health did die a bit there, so I'll keep an eye on that. Thank you for letting me know. As I said at the start of the stream, if you weren't here, I'm trying different software just to see if that's a little bit easier and gives us more features, I guess. There we go. So we've got both of those belts now into the printed part and then sticking out the front. So what we want to do is to basically get everything to be even. So what we will then do is tighten this one down a bit so that it doesn't move. Not too tight, obviously. Let me check the manual. So yeah, we've got those two belts in there, and then basically we've got to run them through the printer, which can be a little bit tricky if you haven't done one before. I have, but that doesn't mean it's going to be any easier. So basically what we want to do, I'm not sure how much of this you're actually going to see, but so the bottom belt we'll do first, and the bottom belt is the A belt. So basically we want to go through here but round this pulley. So not sure how easy this is going to be. So if you haven't got one of these or something similar, then this is just basically just a pokey tool, a tool with a largish pin on the end, and this does really help with getting things in the space that they're meant to go in. So I'll show you sort of what this looks like when I've done it, but basically we're just trying to get the belt in the correct locations. So then what we need to do here on the side is to go in here, but then we've also got to go round the pulley. Let's see if I can if I go quiet, it's because I'm concentrating. It's not the easiest thing to do, to poke these round, but once it starts going, it's sort of okay. Then what's also helpful sometimes is if I can find the right ones, just some sort of pliers that are got a bend in them or something like that, just so you can sort of get in there and then pull the belt through like that. We want to try and keep this on all the pulleys at the right time if we can. Just going to move some of these printed parts. Okay. So I think the stream looks to be okay at the moment. Perhaps we were had other things running in the background that causing some issues. So this belt then goes along the back and then round the side, and then what we're doing with this one, I believe, is going in this side. You have to reference the manual. Yeah. So we then want to go in this side. So that's the first belt done. Just see if that tells me to wonder if we can put the other end of the belt into the part just to hold it while we're doing this. So let's undo this a bit. Again, this is the bottom belt that we're doing here. This is where things get a little bit tight because we're basically now trying to get two belts into that one out part of the printed part. This might not be the easiest thing to do. In fact, what we'll do, I think, is we'll run the other belt first, just so perhaps that's out of the way. So what this belt has to do is basically the opposite. So we want to go through that hole there. You'll see that this will eventually sit on the carriage here. Oops. We can get this belt through here a bit. Quite a tight space. What I might do is actually remove this maker beam nut for the time being. Then what that will allow us to do is push it through without also having to feed it past a nut. And then you're sort of just trying to use anything you've got really to just, once you've got it started like that, you can then pull it through. So that's the first belt, sort of where it needs to be. Yeah, belts are not that fun, especially on a small printer like the Zero. Oh, my sticker's come off. What we have to make sure is when we're doing this that we don't, particularly when we start to tighten, that we're not dropped off a pulley or anything. So it's worth just making sure as you go things are sort of where they need to be. I think what I have done before is to sort of almost get the belt out of the printed part at the top and then pushed it back in. I'm just going to try and do it this way to start with. What I should have said actually is also that the tensioners are at their loosest at the moment. So once we pulled the belts through and we've got them in the carriage end and we've pulled them tighter, we've still got adjustment, because if these were in the tightest position we would have nowhere to go. Push it out at the top. Yeah, that's what I used to do, but I'm just trying to do it this way. It is there, I've just got to, I think it's fallen down a bit. That keeps falling down. There we go. So let's grab that belt. Not quite. we go. And then this one goes round the front. And then we've got to go basically in and round this last pulley. This one does like to go all the way through. There we go. So that's the belts through, but now we've got to they are not Gates belts, Richard. No, they are labelled how do you pronounce that? Toalot? Toalot? It's, I think it's one of Fysetc's sort of sub brands. I'm not entirely sure if that's the correct term, but yeah, they are not Gates belts. No, they are what they call dust proof. Well, it's written on here dust proof. So they've got the brown sort of similar look to them as Gates. I guess it's like a reinforced belt. So I'm just pulling this other belt through. We'll just get that through, and then what we'll do before I forget, is to put the making beam nut back on. I'm sitting in the garden rebuilding my Z drives for the 2.4. Lovely. You have to let me know if the stream has gone down, because it's gone red on my side. So I'm not sure if there's anything I can do to lower streamers up. Okay, just gonna see if there's anything I can do. I'm not entirely sure how to use this, to be perfectly honest. I don't think I can do a lot while we're streaming, but yeah. So we'll just see how we go today. It's just sort of a see how we go type situation with trying some different software. Did anyone else, or did anyone watch Eurovision last night? Is that something other people in the world watch? There we go. So I've managed to get that a little bit threaded on. So what we're now going to do basically is to pull these belts through so that we can get them tight, make sure we're on where we need to be, etc. Stream just went black. I wouldn't watch it if I'm in the UK, let alone here. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that changing to a different streaming software was the right thing to do, but what I might do is just stop the background music and close that, and then hopefully see how, if that works, if that helps a little bit better. That's me trying to sort of have too many things going at once, I think. So yeah, so what we're basically trying to do now is to get the belt sort of a little bit tensioned. Yeah, OBS, Richard. I was using right, so I think I've gone the wrong way around this pulley, because yeah, so you can see here that I have gone the wrong way around this pulley. So basically what's happened is it's now rubbing against the plastic, and that's how we know we're wrong, because the belt should never come in contact with the plastic. So what we can do, what I need to do basically, is take this bottom belt out, and we're just going to loosen this other one off as well, just so we've got a bit more room. So let's take this belt out. Are you using an NVIDIA GPU? Did you I believe I am. I'm definitely using an NVIDIA graphics card. So if I look at the output, yeah, it says it is using NVENC encoder. I don't think there's an awful lot I can do at the moment. Hiya, hi the other Richard Knights. So yeah, hope we'll perhaps I'll play around with that next time. So then because I've gone around the wrong, or the pulley's gone in the wrong direction, so I just need to pull this belt out. And what I should have done is gone on the inside of that pulley rather than behind it. So what I should be able to do now, hopefully, is rerun the belt now that I'm the right way around the pulley. And we'll do what I've done before, and we'll just sort of go out the top, and then there we go. Oops, grab it. So yeah, so what we've meant to have done, I'll show you that in a second. So that's what we've meant to have done, is to basically have gone on the inside of the pulley and not behind it. So let's run this belt back the way it should be. So this should now hopefully be the right way. And you can tell if something, basically if the belt is touching the plastic, you've done it wrong. The belt should never touch any of the plastic parts. So I'll just spin that around, make sure that looks okay. Yep, so that was the bottom belt. So let's push that back through. We might have to take that nut off again, just to make it a little bit easier. Oops. So hopefully now that I've turned the music off, it perhaps will be a little bit better. I think it's trying to stream at 60 FPS, which perhaps we don't need. I can't change it now that it's streaming. Right, let's just make sure everything is now where it should be. We'll start tightening, pulling the belts through again. So we'll just get a bit of length on them. Again, what we're trying to do is make sure everything's on where it should be, including the belts into the toothed pulleys. Yeah, it just needs to be tightened up a bit basically. So let's get this nut on, make a beam nut before we get too much further. What bit rate? So it says at the bottom here, it says basically CPU like 8%, less than 8%, 60 frames per second, and then kilobits per second, 10,500. I didn't really do anything with the settings when I put this on. There was some like wizard that sort of did it and said, oh, this is what you can do on your connection. So I'm not entirely sure if that was correct, or if I need to look at them again once I do another stream. So what I'm basically doing now, that's too high, way too high. I would have had it around 6,000. I don't know, have a look just briefly while we're video bit rate. I can change it. Do you say about 6,000? Okay, that's brought that down. So hopefully everything's still okay. Make sure these belts are, this bottom one needs to come through at least one. So Twitch limits streams to 7,000, should be fine. So okay, so it's currently set to 6,000. So we'll see how that goes. Just going to have a look at the manual briefly, just to see once you've right, so I think we could probably pull the belts through a little bit more just to get them a bit more snug. And what we're basically doing is we're just making sure that we keep the belts the same length, because the length should be the same. What we also want to do is we just move it backwards and forwards a bit, just so we can sort of get everything lined up, make sure it's all okay. And obviously we want to make sure that we don't rack the carriage by having one side tighter than the other. Let's choppy for you now. Excellent. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. I don't know, what was I using before? Streamlabs I was using before. I don't remember changing anything on there, but I probably did. but this immediately lets me actually type in my own chat, and the on-screen stuff was better, apart from the subscription thing didn't bring up the person's name. But yeah, things are working a bit better, so hopefully things will be improved for the next stream as well. So I'm just trying to make sure that these belts are the same length and that I haven't got to pull. So I might have to do is just pull this bottom one more tooth through. That might have been too much. No, I think that's right. And again, if we just push things around a bit and make sure everything's where it should be. You don't want to go sort of too fast at this stage to do this. You want to make sure you take your time, make sure everything lines up and things aren't what they call racked. So what's happened here is we've actually started pulling the other belt through a little bit. So what I'm going to do is undo these and just recenter these belts up a bit. I think I'm not entirely happy with how they're looking. Wondered why it was a bit strange that things were sort of getting racked. So if we pull these ones through, oops, that was a bit too far on that one. Yeah, so that's pulled that belt out, which is not what we want to do. So let's just slow down a bit and get this bit right. Getting back to the discussion about Eurovision. So what I like about Eurovision is that it's just bonkers, right? It's about, the problem is some people take it a bit too seriously. I think you just gotta basically have a laugh, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these nuts off. And actually probably take these belts out and redo this bit. Not quite working how I want it to. So, and there's a screw. So let's try and get these two bottom belts through as well. Sometimes it's good just to stop what you're doing. If one way is not working quite right, just have a go doing it a different way. That's my motto anyway. So before we get too far, we'll make sure we can get these maker beam nuts back on. We've pulled the belts through again. On one side we don't have too much of an issue tightening it down because it shouldn't be adjusting both sides. So we'll just tighten this one down a bit, but not too much. And we'll get the other one on too. And then this one we want to leave a little bit loose because we want to adjust these. So I've just got to pull this bottom belt through a bit because this has gone too far. So that should be those two belts even. So let's tighten that up. I'll just move that back a bit so you can actually see what I'm doing. We'll just tighten this down a bit like that. And then hopefully this other side's still a little bit loose, so we can now start pulling belts again. There we go. But we'll also make sure that we don't increase the length of these two. So these two need to stay same, and then these two we can then start pulling through again, making sure everything's where it should be. Again, sort of moving it backwards and forwards, make sure everything is still moving correctly. So you can actually hear when the tooth of the belt goes through, it clicks through. So what it's probably worth doing is sort of just saying to yourself, right, let's do 1-2 clicks at a time, and then work our way round to increase the tightness. And again, making sure that these other two belts haven't moved. So they look about even. They look about even. I think we could still probably go a little bit tighter at this stage before we start using the rear belt tensioners. So let's just see if we can get a few more notches through. Yeah, these are still pretty loose, so we can still keep going, I think. Make sure these haven't moved. Yeah, they are looking okay. Just got to undo this slightly. And it's basically just a trial and error thing, just to keep going, keep moving the belts through, seeing how they feel, and decide how much more you want to go. I think we've still got quite a bit to go actually, to be fair. The stream seems to be doing a lot better now, so what I might do is try getting the music back up so that you'll listen to something other than just me or when I'm not talking. If I can find the right part of YouTube. There we go, we've got some more music going. Let's see how that, if that does anything for or against the stream. Right, so that feels pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is attach the carriage, or the printed part, to the carriage basically. And what we'll do is we'll tighten this screw down now as well on the maker beam nut. And everything is still the same length as where, so everything's still even. We have still got some tensioning to do, but we'll now do that with the rear tensioner. So let's go back to the manual. We need M2 6 socket head screws. So I've got these out already, or found the bag anyway, and then we just want to put 4 of these in the carriage. And what it also suggests is to use a bit of Loctite on these as well. So hopefully you're about to see me do this. So these are pretty small screws, so getting Loctite on them and it not touching the part is not going to be that easy, but we'll see what we can do. You don't want too much here, I don't think, really. So we'll just, as I've said before, put all your screws in before you tighten them up, so that you can give even pressure. And I try and do sort of opposites as well. There's only really the tips of these screws that are actually going into the carriage, so you don't want loads of Loctite on. and then we sort of tighten these down a bit, not too hard. That should be fine. Then we can obviously move the carriage around a bit, make sure everything is still sort of where it needs to be. And then what we're also going to now want to do is start tightening with the things at the back here. Now I did think about installing an app on your phone to see the frequency of the belts. I've never really done that, and I'm not entirely sure it's that accurate. So what I normally do is just really sort of do it by feel. Make sure all these are loose at the back here, which they are. Make sure we're still all on all of our pulleys, which we are. So the manual sort of suggests to try and get 110 Hertz, but I'm not entirely sure how you would do that accurately. So we're just going to sort of do it by feel. So let's see if I can get this in shot. So we've got the B and A drives, and the B obviously does our top belt, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, so the B does the top belt and A does the bottom belt. So you want to sort of try and keep them again even. So we'll try and just tighten these up a touch each and see how we feel. So we want to move things backwards and forwards just so that all the belt tension, I think I don't know how you would really how you're supposed to pluck the belt either, to be honest. So just go a little bit more maybe. Perhaps we'll aim for about there. Everything is still flush, so I think that is pretty much where we want to be. So let's just keep reading the manual. So we've used the rear idlers. So basically, due to the small size of the belts, the required tension may feel slightly higher compared to larger printers, but this is mainly because of the shorter belt runs, and these are obviously really quite short belt runs, but I think they're about even. I'm fairly happy with that. So what we'll do now is tighten the screws down up here, which are what we've just used to tighten the belts, and this should then stop them from moving. I think it was I don't remember using washers on the V0.1, so I think they've added washers to the underside of these screws, which is probably a good idea. Could probably have done with a slightly larger washer, to be fair. But all is good. So just one more movement backwards and forwards, just make sure everything's moving okay. It is. Belts feel good. I'm happy with that. Yeah, washers are new. I think the Fysetc kit literally just has the shims. I don't think I've seen a bag of washers. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the bomb for the Voron bomb, so I'm not entirely sure what they suggest. But I reckon slightly larger outer diameter washers would be better here, because the washer has got a little bit of room, so I think you could put slightly larger washers in there personally. So if we go back to the manual, that is basically the belts complete. So we do need to cut these belts. I'm not gonna do that just yet, I don't think. We'll see how we go with the tool head, which is the next step, and then I'll have a think about that. How about if I want to cut how no, the bed is next, but I'll have a think about how flush I want to cut the belt. So I'm just going to move this out of the way and we'll take a little look at the bed. So we had sort of a brief discussion last stream about the bed and the location of the thermal fuse, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to put the thermal fuse where Fysetc suggested I put it. So what I have done is actually RTV'd the thermal fuse to the bed. Probably won't be able to see that. Some clear RTV, but that is basically completely solid on there. And at the end of the day, if it comes off, I can replace it, or I can put it where it wanted it to be. So I've obviously prepped the bed, put the magnet on, then put the heater on. I allowed about 24 hours between each of those for basically just to sit this down on either side with weight on, just to completely make sure it's stuck. And then what I've also done is I have put, I think they were these ones. I think they were these. They were 10mm. Double check.
Okay, let's do this fucking shit.
Yeah. So I've put 10mm M3 screws from the bottom for the plate, for the magnetic sheet plate locator, and then you can push it right up against them and just drop it, and it's perfect. Lines up, however. So yeah, the bed is basically ready to go. I was good at RTV, and I did start doing it. You can see where I've scraped some of the colour off. Was good at RTV round the bed as well. Actually, there was so little room because of where screw holes are that it was not really going to do anything. So I just stopped doing it and didn't bother. Screen keeps buffering. Yeah, it's gone red again. I can see. Let's turn that music off again. See if that improves. Yeah, it starts saying 3,000-4,000 kilobits. So something is causing a bit of a drain on my interwebs. Hopefully that will come back in a second. I shouldn't have anything else sort of running in the background. There shouldn't be anything unless Windows is trying to update. Let's have a look. No, Windows is not trying to do anything. Yeah, I mean, OBS is about the only thing that's really running, so. Yeah, we'll just see how we go then. I think maybe going over to another streaming software wasn't the best idea. Although I have had a little bit of oddities with my internet the last couple of days, so it could well be that. I mean, the kilobit has gone up to like 10,000 again. But it's set to 6,000. It's now gone. It's gone green again. So I can't do anything at the moment in terms of changing anything. So we'll just have to see how we go. So yeah, basically the bed is ready to go. So let's have a look at the manual and see what it tells us to do. So it talks about the printed part for the tensioner or the springs. We don't need the printed part because we've got these nice metal thumb nuts, which are nice. And then it's basically just telling us to do the bed. So the first thing we need to do is to put let me just get that box. There we go. So we need some M340s, so a nut and a washer. Yes, because the problem is I'm on a Wi-Fi connection on my laptop from the house, so it's a little bit, but it does seem to work most of the time. So what we need is some M340s, which are here. Now these we may have to use slightly shorter ones, because I know when I put the Kiriyami bed on my other V0 and tightened it down using the existing hardware, that they actually stuck out quite a bit from the bottom of the nut, which then meant you couldn't take the bed all the way down. So we'll stick with these for now and see what we need. We need 3 nuts and we need 3 washers. And if I remember rightly, I'm sure the V0.1 had nylon nuts here, but we're just using normal ones here. So basically what we want to do is put the bolt through, turn it over, and then what we're actually got to do is put this nut all the way down onto the bottom. And it does sort of say perhaps use a little bit of Loctite, so I will try and get just the smallest amount somewhere near it, and then by the time we get there that will smear it down, hopefully. So thread this on, and then what we can also then do is start from the other side and screw it in from this side. And basically what this is to do is to allow you to tighten the thumb nut to squash the spring. So yeah, let me just repeat that for the other ones. The only reason I thought it might have been the music is because obviously that's putting a load on, because I was playing YouTube music rather than stored on the PC. So I'm downloading that as well at the same time, effectively. And then also it's using the Chrome browser, so, and I know that's fairly resource heavy, but we'll see. We should be okay now, I think. You just have to listen to me talk instead. But yeah, so we'll just keep doing this. Last one. Try and get a little bit of Loctite on if we can. There we go. But yeah, so this our 3 springs. We can actually install the bed into the printer then. So I was hoping, I have ordered a few things, not specifically for this build, or some of it is for this build, but also Richard at Printy Please is sending me the clear part of the display. He was kind enough to include that with an order I placed, so I was hoping that was going to be here by today or yesterday, but I did order it fairly late, so that will be here next week for when we actually need it. So let's have a look at the manual. So we put the nut on, then the washer on, then it tells you to put the magnet on, which is not really the way you would do it, and then we're putting it into the printer. Oops, too far. I've gone to the wrong part of the manual. Get back to where we were. Okay. So let's find the springs. They're here. We're going to need these out. And these are basically just threaded thumb nuts, they call them, thumb nuts. So let's move the printer back over. Wrong side. So what we've got to do, this is going to be a little bit fiddly, is that we've got to have washers and springs and all sorts of stuff line up and go into the bed, into the printer. So let's put these in first, like that. Then we'll put our washers onto our nuts, onto our bolts rather. But what we've also got to do is to try and get these wires, might be able to do that after we've done it. Let's see. Get rid of the belt. Oh, we've lost one washer. Right, let's try and get this one on. There we go. So we've got those on. Now I think that those, yeah, I'm pretty sure that those bolts are going to be too long. There's no way that the bed will go all the way down. So I'm going to have to take all them off again. basically these bolts are so long that they go through the spring, through the carriage, and then they stick out way past the bottom of the bed, and that's just not going to work because we're now home to the bottom. We're not going to be able to actually home to the bottom, so basically got to go through this process again now. I would say we probably could get away with let me just tighten that up again and have a look. I'll see if I can get a shot of it for you guys so you can see what I mean. Let me put this whole thing back on again. We'll just omit the washers for a second because we're not going to worry about them. Right, so obviously I've literally just sat that on top, haven't put the thumb nuts on, haven't tensioned anything in terms of the springs, but if I put that like that, you can see there that nut or that bolt is sticking out. So when we start then tensioning as well, putting some tension in the spring, it's going to be even further out, and this bed has to home to the bottom. So I could probably even move this down by hand. Yeah, exactly. So let's just have a look. If I screw all this all the way down, and I'll tell you when the screws hit. So they I tell a lie. They don't hit the bottom, but I'm still going to use 35s because I think we need a little bit more space. So it's not as bad as I thought. They do technically fit, but once you then start putting these on as well, you're not going to have any space. So I'm tempted to even go 30mm. I don't know. That might be too much. I'll try and get this undone now. There we go. Oops. So if I just get a ruler, Richard, I can tell you how thick this bed is. It is 12mm. So it is thinner obviously than the 1515 extrusions that we would have used. So I do think we ought to definitely 40 is too long, I think. What I might do is just put a 30 on this front one, and then I can sort of hold it on there and see what I think. I don't think we need M3 30s anywhere else in the build. Let's just hold that. That might be too. Yeah, that's going to be too small. So we'll go for 35s if we've got them. Yeah, there we are. We've got plenty. Let's go for 3 of these instead. Yeah, not far off, but like I say, I think once you start tightening down the screws, I think you'll run into a little bit of trouble personally. So I would rather change them now. See how we go, basically. I might be completely wrong, but we'll see. I think I just saw the screen flash as well. I think the thing with what I'm using, OBS or Stream Elements or something like that, that your scenes are actually browser sources. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go 35. So, yeah, I don't know. See how we go. This has taken a little bit longer than I thought it was going to take. I was hoping to whip through this bit, but it is what it is. We've still got I want to build the mini stealth burner today as well. Yeah, I think the matte black does look really nice. I think glossy would have just been too much. Did you see Nero's build with the RGB panels? I didn't watch the stream, but I did see he posted a picture on Twitter. Yeah, they look really cool. Although, having said that, I'm not putting RGB LEDs in this, or actually I'll rephrase that. I'm not putting RGB LEDs in inside the printer. I might have some underneath, like I have on the 2.4, only because I've bought some plain or some daylight LEDs. So I want to better actually see what I'm doing. But I think the RGB panels were on at either Murph last year or a Rep Rap Festival last year, but they do look really cool. Right, so that's those on. Let's put our washers on again and get this in the printer. So let's try and get this in there without losing too many. I think I'm going to have to try and get them in a second. Damn it. that washer fell right where I didn't want it to go. Get a pair of tweezers, see if I can get that out. There we go. Put that on there. Which way did I put those? That way. There we go. Right, let's try and get these cables out the way first. Try and get them where they've got to go. This one out. Damn it. Let's try that again. There we go. So I think that's a bit better. I get that wire as well. Better get it through the side. Okay. So I've just basically tried to get the heater bed wires through the sort of wire management now rather than later, because it's going to be a lot harder to do once we have panels on and stuff. So with the yeah, I'm a lot happier with the 35/40. I will show you once I've got this on, these on, I'll show you what I mean. So basically with 35s, with the tension nut on now, it is literally at the bottom of the nut. So once we start tightening, that'll obviously come through. Let's just see how this looks. Yeah, we've got loads more room now. I'm much happier with that. So basically, if you're building one of these kits, I would suggest M3 35s rather than 40s for the bed. And I'm not going to tighten them up just yet. I don't think we need to do anything else. I think we need to do something with the belt, the cable chain now. Right. So what we need to do, can I turn this upside down? Yeah, I should be able to turn this upside down. So hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit more. Hopefully none of the nuts come out. No, you won't be able to see anything because there's a bottom panel on there. Ignore that. Might be able to put it on the side though. You can sort of see that. So basically we've got some wires through here, and these have got to plug in to places underneath here. Let me put this up. I think. So this is going to be a little bit fiddly, but we've got to try and basically get these wires into some Wagos. I can see what I'm doing. So we've got our, so we'll close that. So that should now be locked in, hopefully. Yep. And then we'll put this one in the other side. I wonder if that would have been better on the other side of the carriage, actually. We'll see. Oops. There we go. So basically what I've done is the wires that are on the bed all go into either a Wago connector or the little PCB for the thermistor. So that leaves us with, basically we've now got to get the wires out of the packaging and run them through the cable chain separately. So the bed is basically plumbed in at this point, ready to go. Make sure that all moves okay. So let me just find those wires we need. Just have a quick drink. So let's have a look at our little collection of bags with wires in. So we've got our, I think that's our heated bed. Let's have a look for our thermistor bed. So that's all we should need. And what these basically mean is that the bed is, we can basically undo the bed from underneath the Wagos and take the bed out and leave the wiring that's going to go through the cable chain in place. And again, these are all pre-terminated and labelled, so it makes our job a lot easier. So we get our cable chain and we can run these through basically now. These are basically the same length. They're the same on both ends, so we don't necessarily even need to get this in the right way, but I will try. So this end is going to basically go so let's go this way basically. Be interesting to see if we can actually run these through in one go. So we might try and do them separately. The thermistor wire does go, you just have to take the connector in sideways. You can see that, and that does actually go through the cable chain. So you might not be able to show you what I'm doing, but I'm trying to get it through without having to take the connector off basically. And it should go. went through the other ones. Sound is really awful. Awful quality, or everything seems to be working okay. Microphone is all okay. Are you is it like robotic voice or something, or and everything seems to be green down the bottom here. So we've got that through. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get these through as well at the same time. Does everything sound a bit better now, Richard, or still not so good? So these have gone through really nicely. Oh, that sounds, oh, I'm not reading. I'm not reading properly, my fault. So yeah, so we've managed to get through all of those through without having to take any connectors off, as in removable bed. Sorry Richard, I obviously wasn't paying much attention. Yeah, it's not really something you see on the stock build unless you add Kiriyami, because the Kiriyami has the Wago connectors, and then obviously this has as well. Let me lay this down. So what we've got to try and do, and where's a good position for me to be able to see it, and for you, that might work. So what we've got to try and do is basically get the part that we need. So it basically goes in this way. So I might be able to put my arms through there. Not very easy to do this. What if I do it that way? That might be better. I'm just gonna take my jumper off because I'm getting a bit warm now. So just bear with me a second. Right. I'll stand up and then hopefully we'll be able to get this bed and everything sorted. Right. Maybe we'll be better off doing the bottom first. Let's see. We've got to put the cables through the bottom panel, the deck panel. And then put that in. I'll try not to get in your way. Let's try putting the bed down. Might be quite a tight connector. There we go. So that's basically the cable chain done, and that moves okay. Make sure that moves up and down okay. Yep. And then these wires, which we can pull through once we connect them to the bottom of the bed. So let me see if I can do that. How did I have that before? That was up the other way. Right here. Just make sure we don't pinch any wires. So the only problem I do see with this bed is that there's not really are you going to try and get the chocolate V0? The cocoa press. Currently you can't. It's only US and Canada. And I'm not sure I really will use it. Well, clearly I will use it, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's something that I can justify the price of. But it does look really good. I love the fact that it is based around a V0. Obviously it looks like the V0, which is really good. So yeah, the only issue I've got with this bed is there doesn't seem to be a good place for the cables to sort of go. I'm just going to try and plug these in. I know you probably can't see what I'm doing. Oops. What about you, Richard? Are you going to try and get one? The only problem with food printers, they're not going to be very good for your health. So that's got those cables in. I think I'd probably like to see a little bit more room in the connector area. They're very sort of tight against. I have no idea really the best place. I mean, there's cable holes there. Is that a good place for them to go? Should I have done that before I in? Probably. So there is a hole in bed here, which I should have probably used. So let's undo these. And they do come right out, so it's not like that much of an issue. Then we'll go through here. We then go this way. Then plug in, or we want to go the other way and then down. So there's also a hole in the top of the bed. You won't be able to see, but it's roughly there. Certainly wouldn't be able to get the JST connector through there without taking it off. Yeah, there is actually a threaded hole. So this is what I was going to do. There's a threaded hole there, or on the bottom side. I'd actually printed sort of a couple of options, and this is a modified version of Vector 3D's 2020 cable tie mount. I thought about maybe putting that there, and then that would give us a somewhere to cable tie to. But I'm not entirely sure how I want to do it. I think we definitely need to go through this hole. I'm not sure where we go from there. Let's get all these through first. Like so. I'd prefer to have something to cable tie them to. What if we put that there, and instead of going through and go this way. Get those through there. Then I suppose potentially we could go to there and then up to there. That could be something. Should have more than enough here to go where we need to for the control board. So what we could do is basically replace this screw here, which is holding the Wago mount, that wasn't technically made for this type of screw, but it does fit. How fast does that stick through? So we would need a longer one than this. So let's see how long this one is. So this is a 16mm. So I wonder what we've got in the way of something slightly longer. Slightly longer than a 16. These are the ones I think that were where that's come from, yeah. They were with the bed assembly. We've got a 25, I think that'll be too long. What are these? They're 16s as well. We've got some 14s, they obviously won't be long enough. So we might have to see what I've got, because this is sort of a deviation from what we should be doing. Let's have a look. I've got some 20s. They might be too long. That might do. Now the problem is if I change one, I need to change the other because it won't match. And if it don't match, it won't look right. Let's see if we can just screw this one in first. Oops. No, so that's bottomed out, so we can't use that. Slightly too long. Let's just try the 16, see if it does work. That is just about long enough, which is good. So what I think I'm going to do is put that there, and then these wires will go through that hole and I'll be able to cable tie them there. I think that will work, but I think what I'll do first is plug them in and move them where I want them. Just get all these through. So let's try and plug some of these back in. So this one needs to go in here. Like that. black one go in here. Like so, and then this thermistor one needs to go this end, like that. And then I think if we cable tie them there, maybe a little bit tighter, that'll look quite neat, I think. So let's find a cable tie. Yep. Try and get this through the print part now. Like that. The wrong way around. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, I think. Right. How does that look? I think that looks pretty good. Got these coming over here. They won't be able to move too much because they'll be restrained by that. They're nicely in their connectors. Yeah. Take that. I think that's pretty good. I don't think it sticks out too far at the bottom. We could probably neaten that up a little bit, tighten it up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to cause any issues. Yeah, I think that's okay. So we're now getting a few more cables to keep track of down the bottom here. In stops and everything else. We'll try and keep them sort of together. So I think that's the bid done. Have a look. We put the cable chain on. Obviously I haven't run the wires. And with the cable, the carriage all the way to the top, it says that it shouldn't I think that's fine there, like that. The cable chain must not extend past the top of the extrusion. That's fine, it doesn't. Less than halfway, so that's really good. I think that works. I think the belts are really good. And now we're on to the mini stealth burner, so let's have a little clear up and see how we go. Do we think that looks okay? Does anyone else think that looks okay? Not sure if there's anyone even watching. Let's just move this over here, get this out of the way. I'm happy with how that looks, actually. I'm really happy with that. we didn't have to use an extra out of screw anyway. Sorry if that was a bit loud. Thanks colleague, thanks Richard. So I'm not sure if you on the stream I did about the 2.4, I talked about how the one of the circuit boards I was using from Vector 3D was quite loud because the fan was a permanently on fan. It was for cooling the Raspberry Pi, or in this case the Orange Pi. I've now actually put that onto a controllable fan, or controllable fan port. So the 2.4 is on at the moment and it's completely silent. So that's it. If or when the ElectroPi becomes available, that's something that we will sort of cover. So let's just bring over some of these parts that we need. I actually used, Richard, one of the RGB ports on the Spider that we spoke about in the server the other day. They can actually be used for fans as well, so that is what I ended up doing. So I've again gone ahead and prepped all the parts with heat press inserts, so everything is done in that regard. So we just need to basically build the stealth burner, or the mini stealth burner. So I'll get the BMG parts, and then I think I've got a couple of printed parts up here. So they're old. Controlled by temp. Yeah, it's controlled by. So I did it on the 2.4. Yes, Richard. So I did it on the bed heater rather than the extruder. Mainly because obviously it's right underneath the bed, obviously through the panel, and the bed is going to be on the longest on the 2.4 because it like heat soaks for like 15 to 20 minutes. So I put the fan controlled on that. Okay. Right, so what we need to basically do, we need this part here. So I've left the support material in, so I thought it looked pretty cool. But that should just hopefully break away if I haven't left it too long. We might need something to just get into there and do that, and then that just breaks away. So that's a nice bit of support material. And then here is where one of our BMG gears go. Let's get all out the stuff we're going to need right away. Where did I put the lube? Super lube should be in here. So what we need to do basically is so basically what we're doing is putting the gear without the grub screw in, because this doesn't tighten down or anything, into this part. And what you have to do is also put a bit of lubrication on these gears. So let's just, or on these bearings I should say. This is just basically help lubricate them inside this gear that we're about to put on. And they will just sit in there. Let me just grab a bit of kitchen towel. There we go. So we have to make sure we get this the right way around. So this goes into here like this, and then it goes in this way round. And then we can just push it in so it clicks, and then we probably need to just push it so it's flush like that. Give it a run around, lubricate it and move. There's quite a bit of play in there. I'm not sure if that's intended. Have a look. Yeah, I don't know. Seems quite a bit of play to me. But what we also need to do is put a one of the M2 threaded, self-threaded, self-tappers into the edge. That one is fine to have play in it. It will snug. Oh yeah. Oops. Obviously it will mesh with the other one. Just hadn't seen as much play in one of those parts as that. So I've built a few Prusa extruders before, and they haven't had that much play. So basically now what we have to do is we have a self-tapping M2 that goes in this side bit here, and this is to add a bit of strength to the whole thing. That's that part done. We'll just check that we've got the orientation correct, which we have. Next page. The next page is we're looking at the bigger gear and the bearings, just to make sure they fit correctly. And I'm pretty sure that this already has the less than 3mm sticking out the other side. So I think that's okay. Everything out because we're going to need it. What did I say? So yeah, we've just basically got to make sure that the bearings fit on these shafts okay. I managed to pick both of them up, and that fits on there fine, and that also fits on there absolutely fine. One of the big issues with the Cyber one, oops, yeah, so these weren't on here when they arrived. They were all just loose in the packaging, so to be honest, I've never had one that has had the bearing either push fitted on or on when it's arrived. So this part here, so I've already put the M3 nut in here and applied a small amount of super glue just to hold it in place. And then we need to put one of these bearings in there like that, and that just pushes in. Next, so we then basically need to put one of the biggest issues only on the Cyborg V0s. That's where I got it. Yeah. I excuse me. I had an old one of these that I had to try and take a bit off the edge. I managed to mess up some of the grooves. So I bought a genuine one. To be honest, they're really cheap. They're like a couple of £1. And that's slightly different because it's black and has sort of more filleted edges. So we need this part here. We need to put our other bearing into this hole. These sometimes are a little bit harder to get in because there's not a lot of room. So just sort of take your time, push it in, use whatever you need to really. That should be fine, that's in. Need what's called the shuttle, which I don't think I've got out. I have got it somewhere. Might just put it in a different box. Yep. So we've got this, and then the shuttle goes in, and orientate this same way as them. So that goes in there like that. Then the guidler goes in like that, and then the latch goes in like that. I have to click the next. We then want this mid body, and the mid body has got sort of features in it to correspond with other parts on the body, on the main part. You can't really put stuff in incorrectly. Mine's a little bit tight, but I have tried it and it does sort of, everything sort of pushes in and goes where it needs to. And we need some M3 25s. Can't remember seeing 25mm. Oh, they're right in front of me. So we want, are they all 3 and 25? Yep. So we've got 3 M3 25s and 2 M3 10s, which is these ones, I believe. Yep. And we have the 25s going in here, here, and there. And it's telling us that this one, the lower M325, acts as a hinge pin for the guider arm. Be sure not to overtime and check the guider arm still moves smoothly. So that's this bit here, and that does currently move smoothly. So do this one first. Like undo that maybe quarter of a turn. Okay, that moves nice and freely. And these ones need to be snugged down a little. And this one is acts as a, done that up a little bit too tight, as a tension catch for the door. Yeah, so that one just acts as a catch like that. See if this one's got to go in a little bit further. An insert behind there. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think there is. That one doesn't seem to want to be going down too far. There we go. So again, we're not tightening, not going mad on this really, just enough to maybe bottom out where it wants to. Probably about there. Make sure we can still, might been a bit too tight. Yeah, there we go, that's fine. That all clicks in lovely. That moves nice and freely. That's good. Next part. Oh, we've then got to do a couple of the M10s up here. I don't think they have to be overly tight. Yeah, I don't think they have to be too tight. We'll go with that. Next page. So we need to then put our gear with the grub screw onto our bearing shaft here. And what we need to do is have basically the two gear parts away from each other. Probably the best way to describe that. Oops, nearly lost the grub screw. So we don't want to tighten the grub screw, but I would suggest we probably put a bit of Loctite on there, just a tiny amount. And this is a real small grub screw. Okay. Make sure we're on the flat shaft here. We'll just tighten it enough basically so it doesn't fall off. And we'll adjust where that goes in a second. So this then goes, we'll move that out of the way, and then this goes through here, and obviously sits in the other bearing at the other end. So we need to, what this is, so it wants us to put on the back plate now, which is here, which obviously has the other bearing in, just like that. And then we use one M310 on this side here. Not too tight. And then two M36, I think is these ones. Right, they're 8s. So let's see if we can find M3 6 to these ones here. We want 2 of those. These are threaded into inserts, so we don't want to go too tight. We don't want to sort of pinch anything. Just tight enough, basically. And then at this point, it wants us to check from the bottom, so from this way. The next step, we need to ensure that the 50-tooth gear is not rubbing on any of the plastic parts. It should be generally centered in the available space between the mid-body and the gear plate, as shown below. Make sure your guider door is open so that it can freely rotate. So let's open that. Okay, so we've opened that. I wouldn't say it's in. Oh, well, there's a little bit of play because we haven't sort of. I wonder if we should tighten these down a bit. Get a bit of. Have a look. Make sure the guider door is open so that it freely can adjust its position. Okay, so yeah, it does move okay. It does adjust. Yep. And then we need to get a. Am I good about getting there? I missed a step. I think I have. I think I should have put a screw in a lot earlier. So I've missed a step. Better backtrack a bit. That's my fault for not having the manual open while doing stuff. Might be able to get that in there. So we need an M2 by 6 M2 by 6 countersunk, which is these really tiny ones. So we have to try and get this in here, basically. I'm just gonna take this apart where I need to, basically. I don't think it's worth trying to mess it up. Let's do it properly. We've not got the other, oh yeah, ones, but take them out as well. Then we need to see if we can gently get this apart. We might have to try and get the these screws out. Right, let's do this properly this time. Okay. So we have to get this little M2 into this part here, and it's got to go into plastic, basically. So that's not always that easy to do with a ball end Allen key. If we take our time, we should be able to get it to go that should be fine. Let's see how far. Yeah, I'm not sure how far in we want to go with it, but we'll go in a little bit further. Go there to start with. So let's try this again. So we've got our bearing. I'm going to try and push that in a little bit more. We've got our shuttle here. We've got our guidler, which goes that way around. Got this, the latch that goes there. So everything sort of locks into each other. We can then put our mid body back on. Gonna push this through out the way. That one goes there. These are all the same size. These go in here again. So I did know about that screw, I just obviously forgot at what point I was meant to put that on. Well, you should sort of perhaps read the manual a few times. There we go. Right, so we're sort of back to where we were. Oh, I've just got to put these ones in the bottom. So that's where we were before. Then put this back in here. So we go into that bearing now. We put this plate back on. Like that. Remember that this is the 10mm one here. The other two are 6mm. Stream does seem to be a little bit better now, so I'm not sure what quite was causing the issues we had earlier. Okay, so sort of where we were before. You can move where it is. So we want to try and get this in the middle, it says. That's about there. If you that white gear is now in the middle. And then, so while the 50 teeth gear is centered in the open guider, open the guider and loosen the grub screw on the BMW drive gear with a small Allen key. Then adjust its position left to right so that the filament path is aligned with the gear teeth. Hold the 50 teeth in position while adjusting the drive gear so that it's still centered along the gap. Once happy, tighten the grub screw, be sure not to rotate. Yeah, so basically what we need to do, move this around so we can see our grub screw. There it is. So what we need to do is basically get a bit of filament, which I should have done before but forgot. Let me just have a quick drink. I think I've got filament up here I can pinch. We just grab this printer and filament from up here. So we'll just grab a bit of this. And straighten out just a touch. So we've got to try and basically get into, have that in view a second. Okay. Okay, so we've basically got to try and align filament path and the tooth and everything else with the tiny Allen key. We'll just loosen that so we can move everything. Basically what we've got to try and do is hold a number of things in a certain position while also tightening something. So not the easiest thing to do. That looks sort of where we want it. Yeah, I think that's okay. Hasn't moved much where it needs to be. Try and just get a bit of a turn on that, just make sure that tightened up. It is. So yeah, that should be okay. That now does appear to be nicely lined up. So we'll just leave that bit of filament in there a second. So we now need to put together this little mechanism. This is just for tension, basically. And this goes in the side here. Might have to sure the bits come out. Not quite as loose as it could be. What's going on here? Oh, that's fine. That's basically because a few things had moved. Right, let's try that again. Quite difficult to keep everything lined up and so here we sort of need to push and screw at the same time to engage with the we open this one. Okay. So that's got that installed. And this is basically the tensioner knob. So that should all now be where it needs to be, and we can actually try and get a bit of filament to go down. Probably not the easiest thing to do, but we want to see how much tension we're putting on it. So we've got to now adjust the anti-squish thingamajig, which is that tiny M2 screw that we put in earlier. And basically what this does is it stops us, but it sets the distance that we can basically tighten this thing. So what does it say? Close the latch and put a piece of filament through the extruder, then spin the 50-tooth gear with your finger to test the feeding capability. You are looking for light teeth marks on the surface of the filament. We will repeat this step once more once the motor is installed. So we've got marks on the teeth now. I'm not sure if it wants us to therefore adjust that screw. I'm not sure how we'd even get in there. I think we're okay where we are. Everything sort of goes into place. That's fine, I think. So what's the next step? So the next step is to actually put some fans in. So let me just grab those out of the box. So we basically want the side blower fans first. And as with everything in the kit, they're all labelled and pre-terminated because we'll be using the umbilical mod. So the cables are only got to be long enough to basically reach to the top of the tool head. So we want to put first blower fan in, and obviously this needs to blow down basically into if I can in. Quite a tight fit by the look of it. Perhaps tighter than it should be. Make sure I'm doing the right one. Yep, this one here. Yeah, that feels quite a tight fit. I wonder if I might have tightened these screws up a bit too much. Just like undo these slightly. So that isn't really going to affect that too much. There we go. So yeah, that fan goes in here and we push that in place. We've got to basically try and get it go in a little bit at the bottom. There we go. There's a bit of a feature in the housing that we had to get that round. So we've got that fan basically coming out of there. Well, just for the time being, just going to get that wire into its management thing. There we go. So that's that one, and then we need to actually put in one of the I think these are 3010 now, 3010 fans, and then the other one of these is for electronics cooling. I don't think they are labelled. They are. Look. So this one is fan 2, so we'll put fan 1 in, which is this one here. And these are sort of no name, no brand. Well, they are branded, but they're not Richard's got to go. Got a few bits and bobs to do. That's no problem at all, Richard. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good evening, or probably late evening now for you. Which orientations go? So this has got to go this way, basically. I can see. Yeah, so they're not like sun on or anything like that. They're not branded fans, is what I was trying to say. I'll do this without catching any cables. There's a little bit of a little bit of, again, a feature in the model that we have to basically almost wedge the fan into this part at the bottom. Sort of goes in like that. And then the other fan that we put in this side will trap that fan in place, basically. So we have to make sure that we get the cables into the correct channel. So they go there like that basically. Then we can put this other fan in, I think, is the next step. Yeah. So what this one will do is go up and around. So this can be a little bit fiddly, this part. Got to try and juggle wires going in the right direction. Try not to get my head in the way for you. Oops. It nearly worked. And then the fan decided to go a bit quick. So we're just trying to keep the fan wires in this little channel here. That will help us get them to go where we want them to go. Hopefully. So let's try that again. Really got to make sure that that cable goes in the channel, because otherwise we're going to pinch it and that could cause us problems down the line. There we go. So again, it's just to make sure we don't trap any cables, everything's still moving nicely before we seat everything where it should go. That should be where it needs to go. Trying to see if this one's got to go down a little bit further, but it doesn't appear so. So yeah, let me. So we've got these cables out of this hole. One will eventually go to where it needs to go, up here. But none of the cables are pinching, all the fans move freely, so that's that step done. So we now need to put the motor on. So I'll grab that. So this is a little NEMA 14 round motor. Again, wires cut to length and everything like that. And the cables want to go out the top according to our instruction manual. We then need one M310. So that was one of these. Just double check. Yep. This will sit on here like this, and we put this in from this side. So like that. Oops. We're putting in the screw on the opposite side of the arm. Got to get everything lined up basically. There we go. Tighten that one down. Not too tight because we will need to sort of adjust it slightly. Do that so we can adjust it down. Yeah, so we then put in a 10 on this side, but this is going to be looser. Not an awful lot of room to actually do this, even with ball head driver. Find the right spot, you can get it to go. Don't do that one too tight, so we can still move it slightly. Okay, open the screw latch, drop the guide down so you can freely rotate the gear. So we just pop that open, drop this down as far as that can go. So we can freely rotate the 50 tooth gear. On the next page we'll set the proper gear mesh between the motor 10 tooth pinion and the 50 tooth gear. You will benefit from good lighting and some magnification, but it's not a requirement. And who's that joined us? I have the Cyborg kit and just bought a Brontek gear, easier to deal with. Yep. So that's a good point from Todd. The Cyborg, the gear that came, the 50 tooth gear that came with the Cyborg kit had a bearing press fit on, but we haven't had that problem on this kit, on the Fysetc kit, so we're okay. Go to the next page. So you need to adjust the amount of engagement between the motor pinion and the 50 tooth gear. With the latch and guide open, hold the print head at an angle that allows you to easily see the move the 50 tooth gear. Use your finger to manipulate the gear while back and forth while rotating the motor as you rotate the motor down into the gear. As the two gears begin to mesh, you'll feel and see the play in the gear become less and less. Once you have a very small amount of movement, your gear mesh is set. Once you feel good about the gear meshing, snug up the 250 M310 screws. In the next step, we'll make sure so basically what we're doing, that we was to say if we move this up, there's a lot of backlash. As we move this down, this becomes less, and we're basically finding the place we want it. That feels pretty good, so let's snug that up. Make sure that still feels okay. Right, just that slightly. Give us slightly if we can. Try that again. Feels quite good there. We'll snug them down a bit more from this side. After tightening down 2 screws, be sure to recheck that you still have proper gear meshing and you still the light tooth marks in the filament. It is fed through the extruder so that there are no surprises. Right, so what we'll do, we'll grab this bit of filament and we'll do it from the other end this time. Let me just straighten this bit out a bit. So we'll put this through. We'll close our thing. What we're basically trying to do is just see that we've got yep, that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. So now we're onto the stage of putting the hot end together. So let's take that bit of filament out. See how much. Right, so what I'll do, I think, is I think we'll finish here, because what I want to do is have a closer look at the hot end that's going in here, and I think I might have to do some well, basically let me just show you, be easier than me explaining. So this is the hot end that came with it. I think they call it the Tornado. I think that's what Fysetc calls it. And what they've basically done is given you a PTFE lined heat break and an all metal heat break, and I've gone ahead and swapped those over. But I think what I'll want to do is I haven't applied any thermal paste or anything like that, or put the heater in or anything. So what I think I'll do is I'll get this ready between now and next week, and then we'll be at the stage where this is built, ready to go, and be able to install into the stealth burner. Because the manual, basically we're building the hot end into its mount, then putting it into the tool head and then onto the carriage, and then running cables. But what I'd like to do is have all of the electronics to some degree in one stream. So I'll get this ready basically, or get the hot end ready and get the mounts and everything ready for the tool board, and then we'll do all the electronics in one go. So yeah, I think we'll end it here now. We've done a couple of hours, we've done run the belts, put the bed on, and we've built the majority of the mini stealth burner. It's looking quite nice. All the fans have gone in nicely, and everything still moves, which is important. We haven't sort of pushed anything too hard. So yeah, so I think we'll end it here, and then I'll see you next week. So thanks for coming by, and I'll see you then.